thanks so much for joining me. In this video, we're going to cover bound ankle pose. It's a wonderful pose for the hips, knees, and ankles. You get a great stretch in the inner thighs. It's definitely can be a challenging pose to keep the spine really lengthened and everything nice and open and feeling supported. You might find it helpful to have a couple of blocks, a blanket. This is a pose that I often do with my back even up against a wall. I'm not going to show it here today this way, but I'll try to kind of give you a sense of why that could be helpful. So we'll go ahead and come back to the mat. And so just the basics of bound angle is that your feet are together, knees are out to the sides. Okay, for some people, it's going to be easy for them to the knees will just go out to the sides. For others, the knees will be hiked up here and the spine will be forced into this round. Okay, so what we're gonna try to really do is still sit really tall. Okay, so in order to do that, again, you might find it helpful to have your back to a wall, maybe sitting up on a block or a blanket. If you're really flexible, then what's kind of neat is to have the option to have both your seat and your feet on a block, and then you get rid of the limitation of the floor. Okay, so there are several things to figure out before you can really get into too far into it, and that's proximity. So how far forward do you need your feet in order to be able to sit tall? Okay, do you need any support underneath your knees? Okay, so it's one of those poses that you can do in so many different ways. It could be a restorative, it could be a more active position. What I really try to stay away from though is this pose where it just seems to collapse everything. If my intention in the entire practice is to create open and safe channels for the breath, then I want to really find as much length and internal space that I can. Okay, so a couple things I like to do a lot of the time is to give a little bit of counter resistance. So once you figure out what support you need, okay, whether you're sitting on something or have your back to the wall, take hold of your legs, pull the knees up toward your armpits, okay? Feet are somewhat together, okay? They may not be exactly like mine, but that's okay. So we're just focusing on the knees coming up and really directing the thigh bones deep into the hip joints. So I'm hugging them in. While I'm doing this, I don't want to tense my neck and shoulders, okay? So thigh bones in the hip joints, arm bones in the shoulder joints. I'm pressing my legs into my arms, arms into legs, and seeking additional length in the spine, okay? So you want to be able to breathe, find length. So I want to do that. Okay, just counter resistance. Inhale, and then on the exhale, just explore to what degree will they release down. And then here again, you find your appropriate support. So I want to have that sense of counter resistance kind of from the inner and outer line of the legs in an appropriate degree. So I don't want to feel like I'm bracing, but I also don't want the legs just to flop out to the sides. And that might only be relevant for someone who's really flexible. Okay, so I want to have a sense that I'm getting a nice feeling of stretch without congesting the joint, without feeling like I'm stopping the flow of the breath. So it's a constant check-in. Depending on your flexibility, your feet might stay together like this. They might open up. Usually, as long as the outer edges of the feet are connected and you have that reference, okay, you don't have to force your feet to stay completely together. And then you might explore a hinge. I'm going to turn this way just so you can see, and I can see, you know, the spine. So just so you know, you might not forward fold at all, and that's completely fine. As long as you're feeling a good, you know, stretch and a good feeling here of open channels, length in the spine, then this could be just right for you, okay? If I hinge, I want it to be with length and space. So I'm still trying to be aware of the center line of my torso. Okay, so from the tailbone, coming all the way up beyond the crown of the head. And at no point do I want to collapse or round the spine. For me, that just doesn't feel like a positive effect, a positive result, okay, of the effort of the position. And then the pose just becomes about exploring the breath, exploring depth, finding length, just like every other pose, just kind of finding that sense of internal space and recognizing the benefit for you physically, mentally, emotionally. And that's bound angle, Baddha Konasana. I hope that this has been helpful and that you have a wonderful day. Namaste.